This is Lizzie from Let Zoe Spoil You.
And Sagira from Sagira Salutes You. And together, we are Newbie versus Weeaboo. Sagira, Newbie.
Lizzie, a Weeaboo.
It's Newbie versus Weeaboo.
Good morrow.
Good morning.
What's up?
Not much. Just sitting around, enjoying the sunshine that's coming in through the window rather than going out to the sunshine.
It's a beautiful day.
Yes, a lovely day for staying in my garden and my living room. Potentially with the French doors could open. So, but yeah, that's about as close to nature.
Will be pleased.
Yes, and the next door neighbour's cats will be like, "Oh, she's left the door open. We're coming in."
Poor Luna's still stuck inside. I'll take her out for a walk. We've watched episode 9 and episode 10 of Neon Genesis Evangelion.
No. Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Evangelion. I got this right consonants.
Yeah, Evangelion.
Evangelion. I won't get it. Okay. So,
one day.
I tried this week. At least I didn't just go into a blah blah. Okay. So this episode 9, is called Mind Matching Moment. But interestingly, it's written with commas. So it's Mind Matching Moment.
Yeah.
I don't know why that's relevant, but
I've got to admit, this is also one of my favourite episodes. I love this episode.
Oh my God, I'm so glad you said that. It was my favourite episode so far. I thought we'll get into it when we get to it. But yeah, that scene, I think you know what scene I'm talking about.
Yeah, so good.
Amazing. But yes, I'm ahead of myself. I'll get to that. But for now, it opens with the boys perving over Asuka, and they're discussing why she might be there as an exchange student because she's German, which you forget very easily because she obviously speaks so fluently in Japanese that you forget that she's German.
Yeah, I mean, the different coloured hair and the blue eyes give away the fact that she's not Japanese, because it's one of the few series that actually has kind of realistic looking people. You can tell which ones may have dyed their hair and stuff, and which ones are just regular Japanese people.
Exactly. And then Ida, who I now hate because he's selling pictures of her, dirty pervert.
It's a thing in Japan.
Why? What? To perv over girls and then sell their pictures?
Yeah. The girls do it as well. They sell pictures of the handsome boys. Oh, it's all part of that, because they've got that idol culture thing going on. So, and they've got a lot of they make a lot of money printing pictures of idols. So in the actual in movie idols, the pop idols, just the idols and stuff, and they have entire shops to it. I remember when I was over there last, and I was in one of the idol shops buying up lots of handsome pictures of Shirota Yu and Oguri Shun, because that's what I was going for at the time. But it kind of this counter of idolizing someone and wanting merch of them goes all the way down to the school system, in which you get the school idols, the really attractive girls and boys in school, and you can make money selling good pictures of the school idols. And so obviously Asuka is becoming the new school idol, and yeah, people want pictures of her, because that's what you do with idols. You turn them into merchandise. But
I understand if it's a celebrity, because basically as soon as you become famous, you are then public domain. You are saying to people, look, you can have my picture. Whereas if you're a school child, especially one who's German, and there's
that's even more because she's German, so she's even more exotic and interesting. Because of idol culture, it has now taught generations of young Japanese that people can be commodities, and a lot of the time it's women can be commodities. But then it also bred this whole generation of these women are so idealistic. I now can't approach them, so I can only have a picture of them because they are now an idol. So it's kind of a pervy thing to buy pictures of girls, but then it kind of went so far to now that they can't approach those girls. The only thing they can do is buy pictures of them.
But I understand if they give the consent to do that, but if they are unaware that it's happening, that's creepy.
It is creepy.
Then you get arrested for it.
Yeah, no, it's idol culture and having the school idol.
I don't like it. So Asuka meets Ray for the first time.
Yep. I love the meeting.
Ray has a very robotic response to her because she's like, we should be friends. And Ray responds with, if I'm ordered to, I'll be your friend. It's like, what?
I love Ray's just doesn't give a fuck about the world. She's sitting there reading obviously like some weird high level like textbook, and she's just like, Asuka's shadow keeps falling, and she's like, I really want to read my textbook. I want to keep my grades up. And Asuka's like, well, she's a bit weird. But I like the fact that Asuka isn't like automatically like, oh, I hate her because she's antisocial. She's like, well, she's a bit of a weird girl. I'm going to go back to just totally bullying Shinji because that's more entertaining.
They are just the absolute opposite from one another, Ray and Asuka, because they're from two different worlds. They have obviously been raised differently. I like it. I like that they've got such different personalities because it does make confrontation, and it also shows the difference of the way the Japanese are compared to the Western world.
Yes, it's a very interesting.
They're very calm and they're very like logical about things, whereas the Western world is passionate and loud and shouty, and especially being German, it's like, yes, I will shout very loudly just to get my point across.
Yes,
and we can be not that I'm German, but I'm Western, and we can be guilty of that. We can show our passion through loud voices.
Yeah.
So we've not got that wrong.
No, but that's the thing. It's nice having those little bit of like social commentaries, and the fact that like the Japanese is a little bit more of a reserved race, and they do things like, is that bit when so why the doors open and close, blah, and like Misato comes in and going, because the Japanese believe in like making everything comfortable for everybody else. You put others first and you make it so that everyone is mutually comfort, while a lot of Western people are very much like, it's about me. And we see that so much in Asuka with the, Shinji, look at me do this! Shinji, look at me do this! Me! Unlike Ray.
She's also a 14-year-old girl, so...
Yeah. And Ray's like, just don't look at me. If you want to, fine, whatever. I'm in my own little world. I mean, she's a little bit too far the other way, so reserved, you're like, are you human? But,
But Toji, after Asuka and Ray have this talk... Toji says, I'm starting to think only weirdos are chosen to be Ava pilots. And it's like, well, define a weirdo. You've got two pilots who are reserved and socially awkward, and one who's overly confident and like just wants to be noticed. So two different ends of the spectrum. Which one is considered weird?
Well, I think they're all considered weird because they do not fall down that prescribed everybody route. Everyone like Shinji is too reserved, he's too cowardly and too meek and too yes please. He doesn't have any fight in him. Ray is just so silent that no one even notices she's there half the time, so she comes across a little bit like distant and unapproachable. And Asuka is obviously weird because she's so westernized in the Japanese society. She's literally foreign in every sense of the word. And in all honesty, all the pilots, as you kind of like find out, have all got like psychological damage. There's all things going on that we don't know about. It's like, only like weirdos chosen to be pilots, because obviously Japan has a very interesting relationship with mental health problems, with the fact that they don't believe like they exist. They don't really believe in like things like stress, and if you do get stressed, you don't admit it, because like especially women, if women admit they're stressed, they can have their children taken from them. They can be put in mental like asylums because they can't cope with being Japanese. So you don't show any of those insecurities and problems outwardly to everybody else, because it will get you into trouble.
We pop over to Ritsuko, who is looking at the last Angel's data. She suddenly got two arms wrapped around her, which is, I've written his first name, which is Ryoji. And he's obviously trying to make Misato jealous.
Yes.
Clearly.
Yeah, Kaji is such a dick.
And Risuko knows what he's doing. That's why she's not really responding. She's just getting on with what she's doing. And then you've got a really mad Misato at the window just like, what are you doing? So... yeah, there's that interesting dynamic.
I love Ritsuko and Misato's like friendship, and the fact that like Ritsuko isn't doing anything to actually get like Misato's like wrath, and she's playing it cool and going like, Kaji, you're being a dick, and Kaji's like, da 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 da, oh yes, teardrop tattoos is a woman of sadness, and she's like, yes, but look at the monster of the woman you're creating in front of us. It's just like pressed up against the glass, like breathing heavily. And
is that what it says in the sub? Teardrop tattoo?
Yeah.
In the dub, it says a mole.
Oh, no, it's not tattoo, sorry. No, it's a mole.
Okay. I was like, she has a tattoo.
No. It says that, yeah, sorry, I'm just... that a woman that has a mole where a tear would be is a signifier that the woman will never find true happiness and always destined for tears. Sorry, not teardrop tattoo. That's something completely different. Don't know where that came from.
Part of a gang.
I was going to say, it's probably too much like crime dramas on Netflix for me.
I was like, oh, we need to learn about her background. Clearly, she was part of a gang. Not true. It's not what happened.
No.
Not get confused. So then we see the planes flying over with the Avas strapped to them, and they're off to fight an angel before it can reach Tokyo or Japan in general, I'm guessing. Yeah, because it's in the sea at this point. And they don't want any more damage to be done. So let's just get it before it gets here. And then we can also see, I don't think we've seen this up until now, but we can see that the pilots have little intercoms inside their Avas, but they can actually see each other rather than just speak to each other.
Yeah, they've got little video
that
comms.
Was quite interesting. And when she talks to Shinji, it's just so like, you two clearly need to sort something out. You two clearly need to get rid of some of this tension.
Which is what these episodes are about, trying to get their relationship a little bit more settled. Yeah. But it is nice seeing Shinji coming out of his like skin. Asuka was really good for bringing him out of that like coy mindset.
Because what you were saying about him not getting stressed and everything, and not being argumentative, it's like, well, she's brought that out of him for sure. That could be why they've brought Asuka into it to make Shinji just get mad and passionate. Yeah, they're getting ready to fight, and Shinji is in position as he's been ordered to, but Asuka is like, you know what? No. I'm going to go ahead and show everyone how great I am. So she crushes 2 buildings in the process.
I know, she doesn't really give a about the whole, like, collateral damage much? No, you're just going to smoosh on those buildings.
Yeah, we've kind of forgotten the point of doing this in the sea, but never mind. And she chippy chops him in half and like, ha, I have slain you in twain. Aha, I win. No.
No. So even Shinji admits, like, oh, I'm sadly, impressed.
As they know nothing about this angel, well, that soon gets pushed aside because we now have 2 angels.
It's a twinsy.
Into 2. Yes. And all hell breaks loose. And they're like, oh, you absolute plonker. She's like, damn it.
I mean, what I love is the layers of humour in this episode that you hadn't seen to this degree. This is the first episode that it's like you really see some of like the humour coming through, and it's bits like how the adults are just like, oh my god, these children, and you see that like you don't see how the battle plays out, but you see that it didn't play out well because they're both stuffed upside down with their legs sticking out, like
legs sticking out of the sea and sticking out of a field. It's like, well, that clearly didn't work, did it?
And the adults are like, you made a mockery of us, and they're still like bickering away like children. And it's like, well, you know what? It's like, stop acting like children. I'm like, Jesus, dudes, they are children.
This is where the series is so clever, because before, the only thing that we had to separate everything and have a bit of a ripple in it was Misoto and her like outbursts and stuff.
Yeah.
But that was kind of getting a bit samey. So they've brought in Asuka, and she's just totally turned everything upside down. She's brought this new dynamic into the whole at this time. You needed a new catalyst into it to make everyone go, whoa! Yeah. Like, we have something that's unpredictable. We don't know what she's going to do next. So that's brilliant that they've done that. Very clever. Yeah, so Shinji and Asuka start fighting over whose fault it was that this has all happened. Obviously, it was Asuka, but never mind. But she's riling up Shinji, and he's like, you did this. She's like, no, I think you'll find that you need to grow some balls and do something about it. So, and that seems to be a catchphrase of hers, grow some balls.
Yeah. I think in the Japanese version, it's more, she asks a lot like, are you a man? Are you a man? You call yourself a boy? You call yourself a man? Well,
in the dub, it's grow some balls. They come in, the army comes in, and they go Pachoo! And blow it up. But they it's not dead, it's just a bit stunned, but this gives us time to try and figure out a plan to get rid. And Misoto comes back in with another Misoto plan, because she's full of them.
Yep.
And well, first of all, she's been left with all the complaints, so of course she's going to come up with something. But yeah, she's got a big pile of complaints and damage forms and a bill from the UN saying, "Hey, deal with this.
You damaged more of our stuff, woman." Yeah, poor Misato.
And Misato, she realized, like, everyone's telling her, like, you need to do this in Tokyo because everywhere else is getting destroyed and it's you that they're coming after. So, or they keep gravitating towards you. So
yeah. Well, they say if you're going to fight, then at least do it in Tokyo 3. I think the other like factions haven't realised that the angels are coming to target Nerve itself, but they're like, because the Avas are creating and Nerve are creating so much damage, they're like, well, if you're going to create damage, create it in your own place. We don't want you to make a mess of our stuff.
Well, considering that 2 out of the 4 so far have been fought in Tokyo 3, and 1 was in the sea, so that could be them going anywhere. But then this last one is walking towards Tokyo 3. I think it's safe to say the pattern is emerging.
A pattern is emerging, yeah.
Where they are all gravitating to. So the plan that she gives, because Ritsuko comes to her with a disc or
flash
a
drive,
USB.
yeah.
Is that what the plan is on? Because
yes,
KG was the one who came up with it.
Yeah,
Kaji,
yeah, because it's like,
so
to my dearest Misato written on it, or something like that.
Yeah, so it's really his plan, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Kaji's plan. But Misato does her little smile, and she's like, "Oh yeah, this is going to be good."
This is it. But Misato, it always seems like it's her plan, because she doesn't say, well, such and such was talking to me and then we came up with this, or they told me that we should do this. She's like, yep, we should just do this. Yep. So everything seems like it's coming from Misato. That happens. And then Shinji gets home to find his world turned upside down with a bunch of boxes in there, to which Asuka comes out and goes, yeah, you got fired. I'm the new kid in town. Out you go. And he's like, what?
All his stuff in that one box, and he's like, meh! And she's like, I couldn't even fit all of my stuff in here. I'm like, Jesus, girl, oh my god, why are Japanese houses so small in the door bit? And you're just like, oh goodness, Asuka.
But then Misato comes in to clear everything up and say, well, no, you are both living here because now you have to work together and we need to destroy this angel, but you need to do simultaneous attacks against it, and to do that you need to get to know each other, you need to work together, and you're only going to get to that point by being with each other. To which they're both like, no. But it's like, don't like it.
But that's the thing, is the plan, because obviously it's got those twin cores, and so you have to strike it at the same time in the same place to destroy simultaneous things. The and they're like, yeah, the angel, and they're like, I don't like this plan.
But then it's made even better by saying, hey, let's do it to music, because that'll help. And then brilliance emerges from this.
Oh, it's so good. I love it.
But after that, we are then going into part 2 of the episode, which is called Dance Like You Want to Win. Which I know. I like that. And it's true. They do have to dance to win. And part 2 opens up with Aiza and Toji coming up to find Shinji, and they find the class rep on the way who's there to see Misato.
No, see Asuka.
Oh, she's there to see Asuka.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, when they open the door, they're like, you're so embarrassing, because they're dressed in lovely dance gear.
Yeah.
Which isn't too embarrassing, I don't think. But
I don't know, maybe for 14-year-old Shinji, he's a boy and he's being put in some rather it's lycra pants and a crop top. It's not exactly the most masculine dance outfit.
Yes, but surely after wearing a
female plug suit, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. After wearing that, I think anything else is considered okay. Because this at least doesn't have breastplates on it. And they all go in, and Misato basically tells them the plan. No more government secrets here. We're all friends.
Well, he's trying to save their embarrassment. She's being a good, mum figure to these kids now, going, sometimes you need to give away a few secrets to ensure the mental state of the children I'm looking after.
We're hearing plink, plank, plonk, plonk, pleat, plant. And it's Shinji and Asuka who are on, it's like a twister board.
It's basically DDR mats.
Yeah, so it's a mixture of Twister and Dance Mat Revolution, or Dance Revolution. And yeah, they're trying to do it with their hands, they do it with their feet, and it's all going wrong. So Asuka's like, "You're rubbish, Shinji. We should switch you out because I'm brilliant. Like, you can't do it without me because I'm so great." To which Misoto goes, "Yeah, I can do it." It's like, huh? And Ray's like, "Yeah, cool." Gets up and does it perfectly. So this suddenly now this is the birth of the rivalry between Ray and Asuka. Well, actually between Asuka and Ray, who really doesn't care.
No, it's basically between Asuka and Asuka's vision of Ray. She's like, "Oh no, not the first child. Like, no, I'm not letting her do my things. Oh, I'm a better woman and a better pilot and a better everything." And Ray's just like, "I don't know what she's on about half the time."
But that's kind of good because whenever Asuka doesn't want to do anything, Ray just kind of pushes her without really trying, just by going, "I'll do it." So Asuka is annoyed and goes off and slams another door because she likes slamming these doors.
She is dramatic.
She's very dramatic. And Toji gave the best line. I don't know if it's the same in the sub, but he says, "I guess the devil can cry."
Yes, yeah. It's a similar thing. It's like it's something like even demons can shed tears or something like that. But yeah,
it made me laugh, that one, because it's like, it seems to be all the hot girls that they ogle over have like issues. Like Misoto, although they don't know she's drunk, she is, and she can be quite stressy. And then you've got this new German exchange student who's shouting and screaming, and it's like, hot girls are very
high strung and emotional.
Yeah, let's put it nicely. Well, they need to have some sort of fault, don't they? If they're perfect in every way, they need to have something that makes them human. Shinji goes to talk to Asuka and she gets her second win. She's like, "You know what? We can do this. Let's get it done." And then we have our competitive training montage.
I know! It's like, yeah! I love a training montage. It's like, let's brush teeth together. Boop! I hate you. Let's listen to music together. Woo! Let's have our underwear blowing in the breeze together. Woo! I love it.
It is brilliant. But it does show, like they're still arguing, but they're still working. And then it's nighttime. Because Misoto's not in the house at this point, Asuka is like, "Well, I'm going to sleep next door, and you cannot come past this door. This is my domain now. Do not even bother coming over here." Door slam. Then she complains about having to sleep on the floor. Now, is Shinji in a bed?
No, he's on a futon.
He's on a futon. So she's completely on the floor, but he's got slight elevation.
She's on a futon mattress. Those fold-out mattresses they have in Japan.
Yeah, all right, so she's on that. But has Shinji got something that's slightly nicer? Because from the look of the next scene, it looks like she's like in a nicer bed. Let me explain. So let's go through the scene. So he's lying in his bed with the music playing, or the beat bopping, because it's not really a song. Beat bopping going along. And she kind of looks in on him. He pretends to be asleep. She goes to the loo, flushes, comes back, and then suddenly she's in his bed.
She just kind of passes out on his futon, yeah.
Right. So then she's like lips quivering and like being all sensual in bed, and he's kind of confused and like, "I don't know what to do."
Yeah, so I'm a 14-year-old boy, and this girl is in her like vest, and her boobs are about to tumble out, and she's all like me with her lips, and he's like, ah. I love it. The panic and a very 14-year-old boy response
of trying to kiss her. So he's inches away from kissing her, and the next thing we see is he's next to the bed and she's in the bed, but it looks like from the way it's drawn that she is elevated above him quite high in comparison. I mean, it might just be the way it's
so
drawn.
Basically he goes in to kiss her, and then obviously she starts tearing and goes, "Mummy, mummy," and then he rolls out. So she's still on his futon. He's just taken the duvet and wrapped himself in the duvet on the floor.
Yeah.
So her bed is still in the cupboard slidey door part.
And why wouldn't he just get up and go into her bed?
Because he's Shinji. He's not because obviously he's thinking that if he goes into her bed and she wakes up and finds him in there, she's going to be like, "You crossed the line." He's like, "Yeah, but you're in my bed." "Doesn't matter, you still crossed the line." You could just see her reaction to that. So the best reaction for him is just to roll off into a sad corner and be pathetic, because then she's still got the upper hand if she wakes up on his bed.
But then again, wouldn't she be outraged to be found in his bed? Wouldn't she wake up being like, I mean, we don't get to see this scene, so
No.
we don't know what happens, but surely she'd be waking up going like, you tricked me to get into your bed.
It
It was a lose-lose situation.
was a lose situation. And I do like the line when he puts the sheet over his head going, oh, you're just as much a child as I am. Because he's like...
Exactly. And
because he's like, oh, calling for your mummy in your sleep. Oh.
See, I didn't take it as that. I took it as that she was playing games with him. So she was like teasing him to kiss her. Because obviously she likes to get a bit frazzled and, you know, but that's how I took it.
Well,
but,
she's legitimately asleep and she's legitimately having a flashback to her mother.
Okay.
And I think part of it is like, but part of it is also Shinji being Shinji, knows that Asuka's upset and there's something to do with the mother, so he's staying close to offer comfort in case he needs to. He's not very good at that, but you always see him. He's always like when he rescued Rei and stuff, and then like later he does put himself out there to help these girls and his friends and stuff, so he's just staying close because she's upset and he'll do his best. He'll probably get his head bitten off.
So then Misoto and Kaji I will get these names. He's new, so I have to get used to him. Misoto and Kaji are aggressively kissing in the lift.
Yeah.
But Misoto hates herself for this because she doesn't want to be with him. He's bad news. But he's an addiction to her, like the beer. She wants him, she needs him, but she knows it's bad for her, which is what makes it much more appealing.
Yes.
And then she has a little talk with Ritsuko about it. And Ritsuko brings up a good point that, this was ages ago. Like, he probably changed by now. I mean, he doesn't act like it, but then maybe he regresses when he's with Misoto, because that's what happens when you meet people from your past. You instantly regress back to when you knew them, so maybe everyone else can see that Kaji has changed, but Misoto is only seeing him as that teenage boy that was trouble for her, and that's sad because they do make a nice couple.
They're quite cute, but at the moment they're still in the it's been 8 years and there's bigger fish to fry than us making out in an elevator.
So then the angels are I'll start that again. The angels are running rampant and the plan goes in action. We hear that they have 62 seconds to get it done, and they are shot out of a cannon, which remind me of Samurai Pizza Cats. And then the greatest fight scene so far ensues. I just was so just everything about it was amazing. It was the way it was done.
Yep.
The fight itself was really good. The way it was drawn, the music as if it was to a ballet. So you've got all this horrific stuff happening, but it's still so
doo-doo-doop as they're backflipping and stuff. And the thing is, the whole way through you've heard them listen to the music you were expecting, and it's not. When it plays, you're like, no, they're using a piece of classical music to do this fight scene. And it's, and it is drawn beautifully and so in sync. And, the beats.
The bit that made me just be like, that is really clever. Again, this whole episode is clever. The thing that made me think it was really clever was when they did the side by side of the two robots as if they were one, to show that they are moving as one unit. And I was just like, that is just so well drawn and so brilliant.
Yeah.
And that whole scene. If you're gonna watch anything of this series, just watch that bit, because it's so well drawn and so clever. And it was the thing that in this episode I was like, favorite episode.
Yeah.
Like this one. This is great.
It's definitely my favourite so far.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not one for fight scenes. It's okay, he hits him, then they hit back and blah. But this was just so well done, and it was just like a ballet. It really was. It was proper elegance.
Yes.
After they defeat them, they end up in a crater because it all goes pa-choo! And the angel is completely gone because they've disintegrated it, but we're left with Unit 1 and Unit 2 intertwined around each other.
Big heap.
And the phone rings, and it's Asuka on the phone to Shinji, but as a hologram. And they just start fighting again because that's what they do. It's like, don't matter that we won. Don't matter that went absolutely brilliantly and flawlessly. I still hate you.
Yeah, it's back to bickering then. It's your fault, you're on top of me. Wants to get your head out of my ass. I love that. It's just and then the poor second in command going, oh God, this is so embarrassing. They're making fools of us again.
But that's it. It's the fact that the fight can be heard by everyone. It's not just a private conversation. It's because then he starts talking about the night before, where she's like, "I bet you kissed me," and he's like, "I didn't. I nearly did." She's like, "Well, you're a pervert still."
It's like, I was only joking. What do you mean you kissed me? Ah! I just love the hysterics. And they're like, oh god. Okay. But at least you finally start realizing that these are just kids, young, like prepubescent, like teenagers. Like
exactly.
they
have other things to worry about other than giant robots like puberty. And then we're on to episode 10, which is called The Magma Diver.
Yes. So before we start talking about this, some little things that I don't know if you picked up on.
Okay.
So they start throwing around like weird terms about the computers. Like there's Malchior and Balthazar, I believe. And they say the Maggie's interpreted it this way. Maggie is the Japanese pronunciation for the Magi. Do you know what the Magi are? From?
I think you should explain. I clearly know, but maybe you should explain it to the
Well,
listeners.
okay. Well, no, just in case. Well, the Magi were.
Oh, no, I have no idea.
Okay. Well, no. So, like, the Magi was the three wise men that brought gifts for Jesus when he was born, and their names were Caspar, Malchior, and Balthazar, I believe. I'm not Japanese pronunciation. I can be better at, as I've said before, than European one. So their computer system is built up. You don't hear Caspar's name in this one, but you hear the other two, and you say the Magi. And when you think of the Magi, you think of all three parts of the Magi. So their computer system is named after the three wise men. So just a little bit to add to the weirdness that is going on. There's angels, there's religious symbolism, there's Adam, and now there's the three wise men.
Adam was not around at the same time as Jesus, though.
No, but he's still
a religious figure.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Because I get, like, the three wise men, and if they're going, and the angel and all that, because that's all related. But then Adam, I understand it's the first man.
It makes sense later. There's a reason.
Okay.
Everything has a reason in this.
Everything has purpose. So episode 10, The Magma Diver, we open with Kaji taking Asuka shopping. And she's like, oh, this is a great way to spend time together. But then she takes him bikini shopping, which, that's what a flirty 14-year-old would do if she's trying to get an adult's attention, is to go to the place where you wear the skimpiest of clothes.
Yeah.
I mean, she has reason. She wants to go scuba diving on a school trip. But at the same time, you don't take your adult boss.
Yeah. But have you not noticed that Oscar's a little overconfident and a little bit full of herself?
But then we go back to the apartment where Pen Pen is chilling in a bath. It's nice to see more of Pen Pen. Yeah. And his relaxation is disturbed by the screaming of, "What do you mean I can't go on the trip?"
Oh, Oscar.
But Asuka makes Misoto look calm.
Yes. Yes.
Because Misoto is just like, yeah, you can't go, you got to be on standby, soz. And Asuka is just like, this is my life.
It's like, what do you mean? It's like, Shinji, back me up. And Shinji's just like, well, I kind of figured, since we're Ava pilots, that we might be needed on standby.
But also, that's not the kind of thing that Shinji would be interested in anyway.
No.
So it's
he don't care. He don't care. Ray clearly doesn't care about school trips. It's only Oscar having a moment.
Exactly. So, yeah, it's just Asuka who's got a problem. But then they're like, well, you've got more time for study now, because Asuka, you are rubbish in school. You're failing, But we have Shinji studying by the pool, as one does, because it's a nice, quiet place to study.
Yeah.
And if you like
until Asuka turns up, it was
yes, to totally distract him. In her swimsuit, she's like, "Let me see," and she leans over and boobs in the face, and she does it on purpose.
Oh yeah,
clearly. She's clearly trying to make this poor boy uncomfortable. And the thing is, she needs constant validation that she's a hot girl, and I can totally relate to that, because I'm not a hot girl. Let's get that straight. I'm not a hot girl as far as I'm concerned. However, when I was that age, I did need validation of boys liked me, so I would say things or do things that I wouldn't normally say and do, because I wanted to get a reaction out of someone to say, like, you're hot, or like you're pretty, or whatever. So I'm totally vibing with her at this point. But although she's got the body to back it up.
Yes, yes, I never had that.
I did not. She does. Yeah.
But yeah, it's very on point for actually this is how young teenagers act. They actually have a lot of, like, things can't write teenagers very well, and children and stuff, and kind of act them like mini adults. And this one's, it's like, yeah, no, actually they've still got that, like, mindset of, like, notice me. And you can tell Asuka does half the things she does because she's desperate for validation.
Yeah, all the time. She constantly wants to be noticed, and she wants people to tell her that she's pretty, she's hot, she's, you know, she's worth something, really. Like, you know, she's there for a reason, but she's going about it in a way of, it's more her body and her looks that people should be looking at, rather than her brains, which we find out she actually is incredibly intelligent. It's just she has yet to understand all of Japanese writing.
Yeah,
like that's the only reason why she fails, because she couldn't read the questions.
And that's so telling, because obviously Japanese is really complicated. Even when I was trying to learn it, I was like, I'm never going to get this, because you'll get down. I can understand a lot of what's being said, but I can't talk. I don't have the confidence to reply in Japanese. But you've got the actual writing system. So once you memorize your hiraganas, then you go memorize all your katakanas, and you're like, right, I can read. But then Japan has decided that they wanted some of the Chinese letter. So they put kanjis in for word. And there are thousands of these things. So you're like, you've got to memorize those as well, otherwise you cannot read it. And poor girl is stuck on the kanjis, and she says she hasn't memorized them all yet. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. But yeah, she is an absolute genius.
I mean, you can say that about the way that they teach English and writing in schools at the moment, because we learnt it as just, here's a word, here are the sounds, read, write, etc. But now they have phonics, don't they?
Yeah.
And we didn't have that when we were younger. So they've now got new words like phonemes and digraphs and trigraphs. And
you're like...
Exactly. And
what is that?
Well, because we have a basic understanding of the English language, once they say, like, oh, a phoneme is the sound of a word, not of a letter, rather than the actual letter. So phoneme and grapheme. A phoneme and a grapheme. So the phoneme is, so say like A is the grapheme, A is the phoneme.
Yeah.
So that's now something that
and
children really young have to learn.
And we just used to have, you know, it's the letter A, it makes the sound A. So you would have name and sound. I mean, yeah, exactly. It's like that. I mean, obviously with Japanese having 3 different ways of writing the letter A is the different.
Well, I'm not saying that ours is as complicated as Japanese, but it's complicated when you first listen to it, because there's a lot to remember. But once you've got it, it's incredibly easy, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah. Digraphs where 2 sounds make 1 sound, trigraphs where 3 sounds make 1 sound, you know, and it becomes second nature to learn all that stuff. But it's just something that has developed over time, so as a way of learning the English language. So yeah, just thought I'd bring that up.
There we go.
So then after the swimming pool, and we find out, oh wow, Asuka is incredibly smart and talented and pretty, and she has everything.
Yeah. We also get that moment of where Asuka's literally going, look at me, look at me, look at me. And then she jumps in going, I'm diving. And Shinji's just like, whatever. But then he turns and looks at Rei, and Rei's totally just being herself, being calm and quiet. But Shinji takes that moment to look at her, just to like see that her as a girl. And it's just like, you can see his little mind kind of comparing these two things of like the girl that desperately wants to be looked at and the girl that desperately doesn't want to be looked at. And he's noticing both of them.
Yeah, which is quite nice. So then we cut to Misoto, who is putting something in a volcano. What is it she's putting down? Because at first I thought it was a drill, but it's not drilling. It's just
a drone.
Okay.
An unmanned probe. It's a probe.
Okay. So they're putting that into the volcano because there is an angel about somewhere.
Yeah.
But then we find that it is an angel embryo.
Yes. So well, basically the topography has shown that there is something in the seismology, like, that shows that the rocks are not made of the same materials. If you know anything about geology, that like when you do a map of like geological layers, you say, okay, so it has this density would be magma, this density would be an igneous, this would be like a metamorphic rock, this would be like something else. And then there's like, this shadow here is registering a density that isn't rock. And it's like, this potentially could be something else. Let's send a probe in to get visual confirmation if there is potentially an angel in this magma.
Cool. That's the scientific way of saying it. I say they put a probe in.
Yep. But there's a reason they put a probe in. They're just not dropping probes in volcanoes for fun of it.
But they find an embryo and it says it's blood type blue.
Yep.
Is that relevant at the moment?
No.
Or is it relevant later?
Probably.
Okay. So every little thing I find now, I'm writing it down. Just
Basically, because you'll notice it goes from blue to purple. So basically, they use a colour scale to say how developed the angel is.
Got it. Okay. And then from there, we have an old man meeting with Akari.
Yep.
Why don't you tell us about that? Because I didn't really pay attention.
Well, it's just the council chatting about, like, council-y things and being all, like, shady. And they're basically kind of going, oh, we should just, like, some of them are like, we should leave it be. And Ikari's like, you know what, we should take the fight to them. Like, we've been on the defensive continuously. They come to us, we defend. This is our first chance of, like, haha, we're going to go fight one of these things. And they're like, yeah, but the last time we found, like, an angel embryo, we caused, like, the second impact. So maybe we shouldn't be going down volcanoes to, like, finding embryos and poking them, because, you know, disaster. And he's like, no, we can contain it. We can learn so much from this. And obviously he wins out, going, yeah, we're taking the fight to them. We're going to go and get this for science.
The children are having a briefing of what's going on, and Asuka wants to go in. She's like, me, pick me again. And she has to either, the two things are either they go in and get it, or it has to be destroyed, depending on how things go.
Yeah.
They put her in a suit that's to help with the heat.
Yeah.
And they press it, and then she turns into Violet from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Basically, like, because she needs all that, like, instantly, because all the coolant is floating around her to stop her from, she's got to not be depressurized and crushed, so she needs, like, that air, and also she needs to be cooled, but it's just like, I am now a giant tomato, and of course that's the moment Kaji turns up, and she's like, no, look at me, I'm hideous, I'm not doing this.
But not just her, it's also Unit 2 has got a suit on, and she's like, what have you done to it? It looks horrible.
Yeah, because she is all about how she looks and how she's perceived, unlike Rey, who's all about the mission.
Who then steps in and goes, I'll do it. And again, Rey is like, I would rather look like this than have you touch my stuff.
Yeah.
So, once again, Rey, I know, well, she does know, Rey's pushing Asuka into doing the thing that she doesn't want to do because she has so much to prove, which she doesn't. She's already proven that she's competent and she's smart. She doesn't need to keep proving it, but we'll get back to that in a minute. So then we go into part 2, which is called magma diving, which is pretty much the same as what the first part's called.
Yeah.
And at the sites for where they're going to do the volcano, the UN are flying overhead, and Shinji and Asuka are talking, saying like, so why are they here? Are they just here for backup? And they get told that they are there for if the mission fails, they're just basically going to blow everything up.
Yeah, so nukes on your head.
Yeah.
Like,
so don't care if you're in there, you're going to die because we just need to get rid of the whole situation. And they're like, well, who would do that? Shinji, it's your dad. Your dad said we could do that. And Shinji's like, oh.
Yeah. It's obviously Gendo to get this mission okayed by his shady, like, you know, weird organisation of men in glowing chairs. Was like, fine, if it fails, you can bomb them all. Gendo knows perfectly well that, like, his Avas are going to be able to handle this. But he's like, yeah, sure, you can blow them up. Obviously, Shinji doesn't realise that Gendo probably has absolute faith in his Avas most of the time. And also, Rey's Ava's not there, so, you know, Rey's not going to get blown up.
That's what I was going to say to you. Like, would things be different if he knew Rey was going in? Like, would he have okayed that just in case? Or would Rey
that's the thing.
be extra careful with Rey because obviously they have this relationship? So that was very interesting. So they get into action and they lower Unit 2 into the magma. But as it's getting lower, the suit starts to come apart. Not quickly, but obviously the pressure is starting to pull it apart and bits of the suit are falling off it. Yeah,
she loses the prog knife.
Yeah, and they lower her lower than what they said they should because the embryo had moved. And she's like, yeah, keep going. No, all's good. Keep going.
Yeah.
And Miss Soto's like, yeah, keep going. So Miss Soto and Asuka are great for that.
Yeah. All the confidence in the world.
And they find their target and they're like, you've only got one shot at this. make sure you get it right. So she's like, cool, got it. Got my embryo, pull me up.
All
She
doing
starts
good.
going, and everything's really calm, and everything's like, hey, it worked without a hitch. Look at us go. And as a viewer, you're sitting there going,
Oh dear.
no, this is too calm. Can you imagine if it did just go up and they're like, hey, we did it? As a viewer, you'd be like, what?
It's like, where's the drama? Where's the action?
Yeah, where's my fight scene? So you know that's not how it is. You know that something's going to go wrong. And it does, because the thing hatches at this exact moment.
Yeah.
Typical. And so they're like, just drop it, get rid of it. So she does, but it's too late. It's hatched, it's out.
It's got
And
weird tentacles and teeth, and it's all like, nom, 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 blah, 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 blah. And you find
It
it's
does look like-
perfectly adapted to this environment.
yes, it's evolved to being okay, because it opens its mouth and they're like, whoa, it's opening its mouth inside the magma. So obviously that means that, hey, it's cool being in there. And Asuka is going to shoot it, but she drops her weapon. She's like, oh dear, help. So Shinji in Unit 1 throws down a knife at full speed, but of course, because it hits the magma, it starts really slowly.
Yep.
Making this descent down. She's like, why is this taking so long? Just stood with her hand in the air going, come on. And she can't go any faster because the crane is pulling her up, and she can only go as fast as the crane is going. So
Yep.
between the two of them, it's really slow ascent. Just as she grabs the knife, the thing opens up, goes to bite her, and she brings down the knife, but it's not helping. They're just locked in this like double, I don't know, lockage.
Stalemate.
But she's got the knife in it, and it's got its chops around her. So between the two of them, it's like, well, no one's going anywhere at the moment. She comes up with the plan at the exact same time. Shinji comes up with the plan, and it's kind of the same plan,
Well,
isn't it?
they
'Cause-
both have that same thought at the same time.
yeah, without either one saying what it is, they just both know what to do. So she pulls out one of her what is inside the tube that she pulls
Coolant.
out? Coolant, right. She pulls out the coolant, she jams it inside the thing, and they switch it up high, and it goes and it
Yeah.
expands.
Yeah.
And she's like, stab it again, bam, and ba-doo.
It just disintegrates, yeah.
Yeah. But it has the last laugh by going, hey, I'm just going to chop off your cables. So it does, it goes ching, and all but one tiny cable is holding on. Thing disappears, and we get a Toy Story 3 moment.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh no, she's going to die in the heat. And she's really upset by saying, so this is how it ends, because that is a crappy way to die, really.
Yeah.
And as the last cable breaks, she starts to fall, and then a hand grabs her, and it's Unit 1 who's jumped in and helped her. Now, Unit 1 has no suit on,
Yeah.
so
This is probably burning Shinji, but I think he's got used to putting himself in these situations where he's majorly burnt and hurt.
but it's not even so much the heat, it's the fact that it could implode in on itself like the probe did.
Yeah.
So
I think the idea is
power.
she's not as low down, like, because he's obviously managing to hold on to the side and her, so she wasn't as low down as thought. So the pressure isn't high enough to destroy the suit. Plus, Ava Unit 1 just seems a little bit special compared to other Avas. It's got a little bit more resilience.
Right, okay, so yeah, because that's what I was going to ask, is it as low down as we thought? But it can't be, because otherwise he'd be dead.
Yeah.
So, no amount of, anything could protect him from imploding in on himself. So yeah, he saves the day, and they go, let's celebrate, let's go to a hot spring. So they all go off to, it's like a spa type thing.
Oh, an onsen.
And-
Gotta love an onsen.
And they decide that Pen should be here. So they get him delivered. And Pen arrives to join in with the hot spa. I think they're trying to get Pen in as much as possible now. It's at this point where people are starting to like Pen.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah.
Gotta put
let's
your
get
animal
him in.
mascot in. Gotta put it in.
Yeah. So let's shove him in as much as possible. And Shinji, obviously being the only boy, is chilling out on his own with Pen. And the girls are like, hey, throw over the soap. We've run out of ours. So he chucks it over the side because they're separated, of boys and girls. And he starts getting embarrassed because the girl's like, ooh, don't touch me there. Ooh, that's a no-no place. Ooh.
And it's like, oh, your skin is so soft. And then
So they have a lovely time. And then just to make insults on top of injury,
poor mortified Shinji.
Well, Pen takes a good old look at what Shinji's got, and Shinji's like, ah!
It's like,
Look at me.
It's like poor Shinji getting totally embarrassed because he's getting a hard on, and he's like, "Oh no, it's expanded!" It's like, you're a 14-year-old boy, and there's girls talking about soft skin and touching each other. It's like, we're not going to judge you for getting an erection at this point.
Hey, penguins might judge harsher than people.
Yes,
so who knows?
I like the Penman has a little question mark. Like, what the fuck's that? What are you doing? It's like, it's not my fault it expanded. Thermodynamics.
So then we get our next poignant scene, which is Asuka and Misoto just sat enjoying the sunset, and we see that Misoto has a scar on her chest, and Asuka notices it, and Misoto is like, that's from the second impact. So there's now questions about that of, well, what did Misoto have to do with that then?
Yep.
How old was she when this happened? Because, you know, if she was young, then how did she get involved? And if she was older, what was she doing? I'm guessing to help, because I'm sure that she would have been working at that point with Nerve. Or was Nerve even made at that point when the second impact happened?
You'll find out.
Out of it? See, so many questions have happened, all because of a stupid scar. But then Asuka asks Misoto, like, well, you know everything about my past, don't you? And it's like, well, now what's that about? So now we need to know about Asuka and her past. And that's where the episode ends. And it's like, well, you've just left up with more questions, haven't you? You clearly want us to binge this to find out all your secrets. But I'm not going to, because I have a podcast to do. And if I binge it, I'll forget everything.
Yes. Got to do it bit by bit. Got to digest all the information you take on.
Well, you say that because I was editing one of our other podcasts, and listening to us talk, I started coming up with like theories and stuff. It's nothing I'm going to say here, but I started going like, oh, well, that happened. And then this happened in a later episode. So if you join that together, it could mean this. And I'm like starting to figure it out from listening to our past episodes. And I'm like, oh, interesting. I feel like quite the detective.
Yes.
But yeah, it's really good. I'm really enjoying it, and it's just getting better and better. Like it starts slow with
it's a little bit slow burn to beginning with some of its development, and then it does, as it goes on, it gets more and more like, Jesus, this is intense.
But also you get the relationships, you get new characters who mess everything up and turn everything on its head, and then you get new dynamics, and it's really clever and really good. And yeah, it's one of the better animes that I've seen. Not I've seen many.
I was going to say more than 3 you've seen, but you know.
I've seen a few. I saw a couple when I went off on my own to watch Netflix stuff, but even then it was like nothing compared to this.
No.
Right.
But then there is not much compared to this. This is something special.
But also, when I was watching those animes, I wasn't analysing them as closely as we are with this, so it wasn't as gripping and interesting as this is turning out to be. Because I'm sure if I watched this without thinking about it, it wouldn't be nearly as exciting.
Oh, no, it would. Yeah.
I don't know, because if I watch it, I'm just watching it, and it's more the obvious stuff, like the relationships that I'd be paying attention to, rather than all the robot stuff and the Avas and the angels. I wouldn't be paying as much attention to that stuff. It would be more about the characters. But because we are analysing every single thing in this, I'm paying attention to everything. So therefore, it makes it a more enriching experience of watching it. And I advise people to do that. I advise people to sit down and talk about these things, because it is interesting. I'm not an anime person per se. Like, you know, it's only through you that I've started watching them. And yeah, it's becoming an experience I didn't expect. So
I suppose you're seeing it the way I see it, because I watch and analyse everything I watch, regardless if it's anime or not, because that's just how my brain works. And I'm sitting there looking for like camera movements and stuff, and like symbolism and hidden meanings and lighting and everything. So I always analyse this one to death, and I pretty much do it with every anime I watch. But then I also went to universities and did 2 masters with anime as my main fields, and still research things for panels at anime conventions, because I love discussing all the little bits you find in these things.
See, I have more of an actor's brain because I did acting school, and I look at things more like, what part would I play? Who's the most interesting character, rather than the actual storyline. So
I like the social commentary. I like anything that kind of reflects the time and the history and the sociology of the period it was created in. And Ava is just a beautiful piece for that.
Well, now we are combining our 2
Areas.
It's 2 areas together.
I was going to say that's a lot of area. With my pandemic diet, it's expanding. My area is definitely expanding in the don't move anywhere and sit on the sofa and do nothing but play video games and watch anime.
But yes, we're combining our areas together.
Our expertise.
Yes,
there we go.
It's a better word. Our expertise together to get a more rounded look at everything.
Yes.
So.
But as I sit here slowly turning into Asuka in the plug suit, I'm like, woo! This is no thermal dynamics. This is isolation diet.
I think we're going to have a lot of people emerging from their homes going for the Thobowski look.
Oh, God, yes.
Lots of beards, a lot of long hair, a lot of wider people.
Yes.
Hey, and that's not a bad look. I enjoyed it.
Well, I mean, yeah. Thobowski's not.
Although it was Chris Hemsworth, so.
Yeah, exactly. And you have a thing for dudes in fat suits, so.
I do. I don't know what it is. I like Ryan Reynolds. Like, fat Ryan Reynolds, nice. I don't know why. Fat Terry in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, best character. I don't know what it is.
What about The Rock in that other? I've got to call it Civil Partnership, but it's not Civil Partnership.
No, I know what you mean, but not so much because that wasn't a fat suit. That was CGI.
Oh, CGI wobble, not a fat suit.
So that's not the same thing.
No.
See, I like it when they are abusing the fact that they have all this extra skin and stuff, and the way that they manipulate their bodies and their faces it's uninhibited and it's funny, and it's like, I mean, I'm not thinnest of people, so I can appreciate the way a bigger person moves, but yeah, like the way that they use their chin fat, like I would never make the faces that Ryan Reynolds makes in that film for fear of the gourd being exposed. But because he has no fear, he uses it as a comedy tool, and mixing like a good looking guy with comedy, it's just the best thing ever. So yeah, Ryan Reynolds in Just Good Friends, I think it's called. Yeah, in that film, best comedy. I love it. I love Ryan Reynolds. I know there's a lot of people who are like, Ryan Reynolds, but I love Ryan Reynolds. He's my favourite. So yeah, that's me and my obsession.
It's all right. It's not like I don't have a million fetishes.
Yes, that's true. Okay, so Lizzie, anything you'd like to suggest to people? Any suggestions of watching, listening, reading?
I mean, in the last 2 days since I spoke to you, I've not watched much more than what I'm watching at the moment. I did watch the first episode of the new anime Tower of God, which is very intriguing. A nice original art style, interesting setup and characters. Obviously, it's only 1 episode, so who knows where it's going to go from there. So, I look forward to more of that. I'm finally catching up on JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Golden Wind, which I had a bit of a rage quit moment with it because I was sad because one of my favourite characters died, and I'm like, stop it, JoJo, and killing our favourite characters. But I'm like, no, I'm going to finish this off. I need to see how this is going to play out. Yeah, and that's pretty much what I've been watching, like just some anime, playing Bloodborne.
I have a podcast to plug. It is, if you are into RuPaul's Drag Race, there is a podcast by Asuka and Willem called Race Chaser. And it's basically, they look back at every episode that has ever happened and they analyze it and they do some behind the scenes stuff. And it's really interesting to find out what these people went through in this reality show. And like, some of it's great, some of it's not, some of it is just pure interesting. And they start off with going from season 1 and they were meant to do it chronologically. However, whilst making it, other seasons have come up. So they have to stop to then analyze that season because they might as well as it's going on. Yeah, they do jump around a bit with where they are. But with that, they also have another program which is with the Race Chaser podcast called Hot Goss, and they talk about world issues and they answer questions of fans and just talk about things in general rather than just Race Chaser, because they are very interesting when it comes to world issues. When did they start it? It was like back in 2018, I think. So there's a lot of episodes to listen to. So if you need to pass the time and you need your RuPaul Drag Race fix, I suggest Race Chaser. It's very good. And they are very interesting. They're very articulate with what they talk about. And I mean, some of it's stupid because, you know, you need a bit of stupid in your life. But overall, it's very interesting and a good listen. I've listened. I'm up to date now. It took me a while to get there, but I'm up to date and I'm still enjoying it. So even through what we're going through now, they're still doing it. yeah, I suggest that.
Awesome.
I'm very passionate about RuPaul's Drag Race.
It's all right. We have our passions. We're going to do some social mediaing. Woohoo, woohoo.
Okay, so here is Lizzie's social media.
Oh, it's on the wind.
On the win.
Yes, and that's some of the IBS. We'll maybe cut that bit out. So yeah, a little bit of colours of the wind coming in. You can find me as Let's You Spoil You on everything. And unless you want to look at my art on Twitter, and that's at Zoe_let. Yes. Obviously, if you like homoerotic paranormal romance, go to Amazon and check out my book, Song of the Night.
And who doesn't?
Yeah. And if you want to know more about yaoi and gender and weird things in anime, go to my actual YouTube channel.
Here's mine. We'll see what happens with that, shall we?
Can't wait. I can't wait to see. Oh, your beautiful ending credits.
Keep me sane at the moment. So yeah, you can find out more about me. You can go on to Sagira Salutes You, which is my other YouTube channel, where I do talk about RuPaul's Drag Race. I mean, it's only All Stars 3, but that's because Dayla is my favourite drag queen and she was in that. You can learn about cat things because Luna is very present in that. If you want to see my art, see pretty much all of the other social media I have, because that's where my art is. That's it for me, really.
That ends it. So, from a weeaboo, it's Journey.
And from a newbie, it's adios.